to debate whether they have private investment accounts. They can opt in or opt out to the old system. So let's talk. We have House member Brad Sherman, Democrat from California, and doing double duty this evening, we thank him very much, Steve Moore of the Wall Street editorial board. Mr. Brad Sherman, welcome back. Let me just go straight to it. Newt is bringing up the subject again of personal accounts, private investment accounts, as an opt-out from Social Security. What's your take?
That's the Seniors Eat Dog Food program. What it does is first of all, it'll allow the government to put less money into Social Security and say, now it's up to you to come up with spectacularly good investments, high-risk investments, if you expect to get a Social Security benefit. Some of those investments will pay off. Some won't. The purpose of Social Security was to prevent seniors from being destitute, and this is a plan to invite seniors to make high-risk investments. Newt promises they'll double, triple, quadruple their money, and I'm sure some will, but some will be eating dog food. That is not the purpose of Social Security.
Steve Moore, I don't really get the dog food thing. What I could get is that if you're in the stock market for 40 or 50 years buying indexes, or you're in the bond market, or you own government guaranteed deposits, for example, you're going to have a substantially better return than the present Social Security system, which is going bankrupt. Is that not true?
Yeah, look, I believe, Congressman, in allowing young people to have the freedom to choose. Under the plan that Newt Gingrich has put forward, and I read that plan today, Larry, he's basically saying, young people, you have a choice. If you want to stay in the current system, as Congressman Sherman is talking about, and take that kind of safe investment, you can. But also, if you want a higher return, and I believe, Congressman, that it would be hard not to get a higher return, then many of these young workers, Larry, are going to get a negative rate of return on their Social Security because of the huge unfunded liabilities of the system. Why not allow people to own a piece of the rock? It's the way to get rich in this country. And by the way, you'd have to put some of that money into safe investments so that people wouldn't retire without any money in their accounts.
I mean, Brad Sherman, we're talking about options here, just options, but we're talking about broad stock market indexes. We're talking about long-term, 40, 50-year periods. We're talking about government bonds. We're talking about well-rated corporate bonds. We might even be talking about government-guaranteed bank deposit accounts, for heaven's sakes. Why not provide that choice?
Well, on the one hand, you say you want choice, and Newt Gingrich promises double, triple, quadruple your money, and everybody should have lots of choice. Then Steve says, no, some of the money has to be invested in something safe. Then you say it has to be index funds, and then Newt says everybody's going to get rich and own a piece of the rock and become wealthy. What is it? High-risk investments available to people so they can become wealthy, or low-risk investments so that they're not going to lose any money? What are you talking about except an excuse?
Than the thrift savings account that members of Congress have. There's a menu. I don't know what you're up to, 20, 25 different options. Why shouldn't youngsters coming up have the same choice that you members of Congress have?
They do. They've got 401k plans, but Social Security is the money you need and you can't lose. It's an annuity that you can't outlive. It's inflation adjusted, so you're safe. Then everybody ought to have a 401k and invest in any way Newt Gingrich suggests. But when you take and you invite people to risk the money they need, and you promise them incredible wealth, as has been done on this show in the last 10 minutes, then you shouldn't be surprised if 1 or 2% lose all their money, because you promised them wealth, and some will be wealthy and some will not.
But you know what, Congressman, it's interesting. You talk about Social Security being a, quote, safe investment, but young people just don't believe that today. The vast majority of young people don't even think Social Security is going to be there for them when they retire. So if they had a personal account that members of Congress and Washington couldn't pick the pocket of those programs, as you know, Congressman, for the last 25 years, about $1 trillion of the trust fund that is supposed to be in a lockbox, as Al Gore used to call it, has been stolen. The money isn't there. All the Social Security fund owns is bonds. That doesn't sound like a very good investment for young people.
You just said it's great for young people to invest in bonds, and that, oh my God, if money is invested in bonds, it's been stolen. What are you talking about? If you want safe investments, you invest in bonds. That's what you suggested.
Let me be clear about this. The kind of account that Newt Gingrich is talking about half the money would go into his stocks and about half of them would go into safer bonds. As you know, Congressman, over the last 75 to 100 years, the long-term rate of return on stocks, what, Larry, 6 to 8%. Yes. Bonds, 3 to 4%. That's a lot higher return than you get on Social Security.
And Brad,
no, the rate of return on Social Security is much better than that, people are getting a lot more from Social Security than they paid in. But keep in mind, if you can't promise people safety and wealth, spectacular rates of return and total safety at the same time. If you can't talk about index funds and wild returns. Which is it you're promising? A chance to invest in gold stocks and quadruple your money or lose everything, or something almost as boring as the existing bond investments?
Steve Moore, I give the last word. Why is it so hard to put young people in the same position as members of Congress? This is what I don't get. Why is that so difficult?
Larry, that's an outrageous that's an outrageous personal attack on me that I have to respond to.
Brad Sherman, I am not attacking you. What I am doing is attacking your hypothesis that somehow investing in 50 years
ought to have 401ks.
But this is, why should youngsters have to put their money into the U.S. Treasury, which then uses it
I have to put my money in Social Security, and for you to come on and try to say, oh, this is some Congress
I want them to have
hypocritical thing.
Congressman,
I've got a 401k and I've got Social Security, and that's what everybody ought to have.
You make about $150,000 a year. The problem is, when you talked about people putting
How much do you make, Steve? How much do you make, Steve?
Look,
you're going to attack me? How much do you make?
Look, I'm talking.
Larry, how much do you make?
Wealthier people like you and me and Larry, we can have a 401k plan. For the average lower income person, when they pay their payroll tax, they don't have any money left over for private savings.
All I'm saying is give them.
You want to risk it so that they can become wealthy.
All right, I understand you don't buy it. I'm just saying give them the same choices that the rest of us have. I got to leave it there. Congressman Brad Sherman of California and Steve Moore, the Wall Street Journal editorial board. We appreciate it very much. Next up on Kudlow, chaos in Cairo. Tear gas, rubber bullets, dozens killed. It's getting worse. We're heading there next. Please stay with us.
Keeping America Great is sponsored by USAA, proudly serving the financial needs of the military community.
Mine was earned over the South Pacific in 1943.
Vietnam, 1960.